Let's bring in Mike Pompeo. He's a Fox News contributor, former Secretary of State. Sir, thanks for being with us today. There's a whole lot to unpack with the border crisis story. Let's start here today. You've been a policymaker at the senior-most level of the United States government. Looking at this issue, when does it become apparent to policymakers that despite their best intentions, despite what they believe are their best efforts on behalf of the country, despite the messaging put out publicly, that policies are not working? I ask because is there ever a moment of truth that you're confronted with that kind of information by your own staff? It seems like there is no room left, at least in the U.S. government, for that kind of thinking.
Jillian, they most certainly know what's going on. The statement from the White House podium yesterday was nothing short of a lie. They know the data. Their teams are telling them the data. This really gets to your point. At some point, you have to look yourself in the face and say, goodness gracious, the things that we've done are destroying the American way of life. They are not protecting American sovereignty. They're going to get communities all across America destroyed as a result of the fentanyl that's coming across, and you have to begin to feel that. I must say, I think the American people can see that too, not only in Texas and Arizona and California, but all across America where these illegal immigrants are showing up. They can see that these policies have failed. And I think the American people know too, Jillian, that in spite of the claims from the vice president that says we have to get to the root causes, we know how to solve this. We know how to secure our southern border. We did it for the last couple years of our administration. They've simply ripped the Band-Aid. This is an affirmative decision by the Biden administration to open our southern borders. They most surely know it, and I pray that they will find a way to get off their political stance and actually do the job that the American people are asking them to do.
Well, sir, a moment ago you said that you believe the White House lied yesterday. I think you mean Karine Jean-Pierre at the podium who addressed this.
Yes, from the White House podium. Yes.
If you give the administration the benefit of the doubt, because that's a pretty hefty accusation, and you assume that they have good intentions, they have the nation's best interest at heart, how are they looking at this so that they interpret the reality on the ground, captured in data, captured in endless video footage by the press, captured by their own border chief, so that they are convinced this is how they want things to be?
Jill, I didn't use that word lie lightly. It was intentional because they told a knowingly and intentionally false statement to the American people from that podium yesterday. To your point, they see the video. The data from the Border Patrol folks is true that you can watch folks walk across this border, and if you technically want to say they're jogging, not walking, to find someplace to hide, so be it. But what she told the American people yesterday was fundamentally false, and she knew it when she said it. They're trying to shift a narrative away from what they know. The truth of the matter is they just have a different view. They think that America is insufficiently welcoming. They think that we are a racist nation. They view the open border not as a bug, but a feature. That is, they want to bring these people into the United States. It is a political decision that they're making. It is not the incapability of the United States to secure its borders and protect the American people from having as a result of their actions more and more people coming across illegally. That's my view. That is fundamentally inconsistent with American history. It's not what we ought to do, and the White House has the power and the capacity to fix that.
Well, I have you here today. I want to make sure we talk about Afghanistan on the one-year anniversary. President Biden pulled the last U.S. troops out. This time last year, he left the country to fall to Taliban control pretty quickly. Some profoundly sad statistics on the war. 20 years, an estimated cost of over $1 trillion, 2,400 American service members killed, 20,000 more on top of that wounded. Tragedy striking just days before those last U.S. forces were evacuated when 13 service members were killed as a suicide bomber detonated an explosive device near the Afghan International Airport checkpoint. Among those victims, 31-year-old Taylor Hoover and 23-year-old Ryan Naus. Their families filled with grief and outrage a year later. They're calling for President Biden to acknowledge what they call his mistake. Listen to this.
I'm infuriated that up to this point, no responsibility, no accountability has been taken for let's face it, the botched way that this occurred.
It was not a success if we lost lives. especially our military. It is a gut punch to every one of us to hear our president say, hey, this was great.
Sir, I asked Senator Joni Ernst about this yesterday. I want to ask you now. A White House national security source told me that an outside independent investigation into what happened at Abbey Gate found that no matter what the administration had done a year ago, the deaths of those 13 service members could not have been prevented. Do you think that's true? And what does that claim actually mean?
I don't know. I don't know what's in some report. But preventable, yes. Jillian, we were talking about when policy meets reality. We wanted to get everybody out in the Trump administration, too. That was no secret. We wanted to bring our young men and women home from Afghanistan. But we never did the things that President Biden did, right? He walked away from the conditions-based withdrawal that President Trump and I had put together. He walked away from the central thesis that there were still things that mattered to America there, including making sure that we got every American out and every American out alive. He set this political date. He set a date certain, and when he did that, he increased the probability that an attack like happened at Abbey Gate could happen. He should acknowledge that this didn't go well. He should admit that there were mistakes in the way that we withdrew, and we should all mourn the loss of those 13 lives and understand that we can do better as an American nation. We wanted to get everyone out. We never got the conditions right, and President Trump never made the decision that President Biden did to put at risk our American kids in the way that President Biden did.
Secretary of State Pompeo, we got to thank you for being with us today. Got to leave it there. Thank you for your time.
Jillian, thank you, ma'am.